The phrasing that Jesus used was, don't throw your pearls before swine. Swine are not able to appreciate your pearls. So there's nothing wrong with swine. They also are the divine in the form of swine, but they're not going to be able to appreciate your pearls. They're not of the awareness or consciousness to be able to appreciate what is most precious. And so just that reminder that while we are in time and space, discernment, of course, is required, but it's fearless discernment. It is loving, non-judgmental awareness that allows us to look with neutrality upon, we'll use the example Jesus used, that's a swine. It's the divine in the form of the swine. It's experiencing swine consciousness right now. What else could it experience? So it's not a problem, but also I don't need to wrestle with the swine, if that makes sense. So every morning I take a little walk. I walk by poison ivy. I don't need to touch the poison ivy, right? I can be aware of it and respectful of it. I can love it. That's the divine in the form of the poison ivy, but I'm sure gonna not touch it. And so just to give yourself that cheerfulness, that discernment, that steadiness, and that's part of walking the yogic teachings in time and space. And very clearly, Jesus says, if you are a student of my teachings, it's also part of walking in time and space, to be aware of what is truly precious and to take care of it, to really respect it and really take care of it. And the Buddha as well, it's non-judgmental, but he says it's very important that you choose what company you keep. Choose noble company. And if you're not at present finding those who love the light, walk in the light with yourself. Others will join you as you walk in the light. Others will join you who love the light as well. Good morning, welcome, 1,000 welcomes. And we are meditating today. I think this is the culmination of our series on instant self-enlightenment. And the topic today is perfect joy, peace, and freedom. So both of those phrases come from Swami Nityananda, and I'll just remind us that what he says is, whatever you do, it's secondary to how you do it. I don't do anything. I become aware of it. The simplest of tasks is the opportunity to experience enlightenment. So anything that we become aware of, it's actually the divine, the expansive light, that radiance, that aliveness, that blissfulness, that union that becomes aware through us. And so we're opening, and then we're allowing that radiance, that awareness, that bliss, that blessing to pour in and through us. And that is the energy that moves the sun and the moon and the stars. That is the energy that moves us from the country to the city, if it's our time to be in the city. And that brings you here, right? Like all the changes that any one of us has ever gone through have brought us here into the presence of this divine blessing, this bliss, this moment of divine union and wholeness and perfection, which is already here in our own hearts. So every moment, instant self-enlightenment is present. And what we're doing is inviting ourselves to open the heart. The yogis traditionally call this a process of self-purification, so that we are able to see that everything in time and space is the divine in that form. So we're letting go of anything other than that willingness to see the divine. The divine is here and here and here and here and here. Every single moment, everything that I look upon, that is the divine. The seed of that, the origin of that is the divine. The yogis, and the Buddha is also very clear about this, Jesus is also very clear about this, also say that discernment is necessary. And so the Bhagavad Gita uses pretty strong words about this. It says it is incumbent upon us to let go of delusion. It is incumbent upon us to let go of sense attachment. And it is incumbent upon us to let go of what the Bhagavad Gita referred to as ungodliness. So anything that's not divine, let that go and allow what is divine to be present here. So discernment is required at the same time that the divine underlies everything and is the seed and the origin of all things. The Buddha as well said, if you cannot find noble people to walk with, walk by yourself a while. until noble people come and join you in your walk. And as you walk in that energy of purity of heart and consciousness and awareness and awakeness to the light, that will magnetize to you those who also love the light. The phrasing that Jesus used was, don't throw your pearls before swine. Swine are not able to appreciate your pearls. So there's nothing wrong with swine. They also are the divine in the form of swine, but they're not going to be able to appreciate your pearls. They're not of the awareness or consciousness to be able to appreciate what is most precious. And so just that reminder that while we are in time and space, discernment, of course, is required, but it's fearless discernment. It is loving, non-judgmental awareness that allows us to look with neutrality upon, we'll use the example Jesus used, that's a swine. It's the divine in the form of the swine. It's experiencing swine consciousness right now. What else could it experience? So it's not a problem, but also I don't need to wrestle with the swine, if that makes sense. So every morning I take a little walk. I walk by poison ivy. I don't need to touch the poison ivy, right? I can be aware of it and respectful of it. I can love it. That's the divine in the form of the poison ivy, but I'm sure gonna not touch it. And so just to give yourself that cheerfulness, that discernment, that steadiness, and that's part of walking the yogic teachings in time and space. And very clearly, Jesus says, if you are a student of my teachings, it's also part of walking in time and space, to be aware of what is truly precious and to take care of it, to really respect it and really take care of it. And the Buddha as well, it's non-judgmental, but he says it's very important that you choose what company you keep. Choose noble company. And if you're not at present finding those who love the light, walk in the light with yourself. Others will join you as you walk in the light. Others will join you who love the light as well. So let's come now to some teachings. These are from the Bhakti Sutras and from the Svetāśvatara Upanishad. And they are ones we've already begun to connect with. So from the outset, I know some people join us midstream. We were meditating on a very classic yogic teaching. Devotion is that unbroken light which reveals everything. And so to connect within yourself with that unbroken light which reveals everything. The Bhakti Sutras say this: devotion is of the nature of peace and of the nature of perfect bliss. And so that unbroken light which is in your own heart is perfect peace. That unbroken light, which is your own heart's natural pure love, is the nature of perfect bliss. Peace and bliss are already within you. And so what you're doing is there's a practice and there's a process which yogis have articulated and time-tested over the millennia that helps us let go of any painful impressions we have acquired, any painful experiences we have acquired that block our awareness. Perfect bliss is already here in my own heart. Perfect peace is already here within my own heart. So that's the classic teaching from the sutras, and I'm about to share with you a prayer from Swami Shankarananda. He offered it in the form of this outpouring, and he said, help me to practice unconditional love. Help me to see the best in myself. Help me to see the best in everyone. Help me to see the best in the universe. Help me to do my best from moment to moment. Help me to know that I have all the resources available to me to transform my life into perfect joy, peace, and freedom. And you can just feel that outpouring of light. Perfect joy, peace, and freedom is our true nature. So these classic yogic teachings tell us that's within us. That is our own true nature. So the reason why the heart loves the divine, loves these precious, sacred, spiritual teachings, loves what Jesus calls the pearls, loves the awakeness of the Buddha, loves the irresistible, magnetic, playful, hilarious light that is Sri Krishna, is because that's our true nature. It is already residing within the heart of each of us. And so from Svetāśvatara Upanishad, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you are enjoying this content, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps joy travel. With adoration and humility, meditate upon Brahman, the source and support of your mind and being. So adoration and humility help you connect. The source is already here. It's already here as the basis of your own mind. It's already here. So you're letting go from within your own mind of anything that makes you feel disconnected from the source. That's all that you're doing, ever, is just letting go, remembering, I'm connected. My mind exists because the divine is here as my mind. My body, my life, my being, my heart exists because the divine is here in, through, and as me. So you're just letting go of anything that blocks the awareness of that. And then the Upanishad goes on, O ye embodiments of divine perfection. Isn't that a nice way to greet everybody? Oh, ye embodiment of divine perfection. And notice can you turn and greet yourself that way? Oh, ye embodiment of divine perfection. And then if you turn and face yourself that way, oh, ye embodiment of divine perfection, can you turn and face everyone else that way? And know that the same light that is here as divine perfection in your heart is also here as divine perfection in everyone else's heart as well. And, as we said earlier, in time and space, discernment and awareness are required. Vigilance is required. That's just part of being in time and space. But it's fearless, and it's non-judgmental. It is one with unconditional love, always. And so then, no matter what's going on in time and space, we're able to live in peace and bliss. So that's just another element to notice. You don't have to wait for anything in the world to change in order to live in perfect peace and bliss. And if you do wait for things in the world to change, you will not live in perfect peace and bliss. So why wait? And also notice that it's not necessary to wait for anyone else to change. Peace and bliss are already here. Joy, peace, and freedom are already here. And then as we connect with that reality of joy, peace, and freedom within ourselves, of course, our interactions with other humans will change. Of course, we will have different relationships with everyone and everything, including our own body, our own heart, our own mind, our own life. So, I keep interrupting my reading of this verse. O ye embodiments of divine perfection, ye children of immortality, listen. So you are a child of immortality. You are immortality projecting here in time and space. And so to give yourself that awareness, and also the yogis are very clear, body is not immortal. The human heart, not immortal. The human mind, not immortal. The human life, not immortal. All of those things are a mortal vehicle for you, and you are immortal. So immortal you is here driving this car of the mortal vehicle that is here. You also could put it in the form of an instrument if you like music. Immortal you is playing the music through this vehicle, through this body, through this heart, through this mind, through this life. And so to remember that the basis of it is actually a song. It's joy, it's love, it's playful, it's fun, and it's not torment. So to remember just that wonder and that awe and that curiosity, that magic. So I think that's one of the reasons why this verse says you are a child of immortality. So to allow yourself not to be childish, but to be childlike, to have that curiosity, that ability to have complete and total trust and faith and confidence in the light. And Jesus says that's what allows you to enter into the kingdom of God. The kingdom of heaven is here. And when we remember that purity of heart, that innocence, that childlikeness, not childish, keep the hard-earned adult wisdom, but remember it's actually playful and fun to be here and to love the divine, to navigate time and space. Within this body is the eternal flame of life, and the bliss of soul overfills the heart. Herein, by the practice of subjective meditation, Kriya, perform your sacrifice of divine communion. By the illumination of the effulgent reality, may you always live in the consciousness of Brahman. Be awakened to your inherent divine perfection and eternal oneness with Brahman. For thus, the accumulated imperfections of all past incarnations will automatically vanish and cease to chain you to sensory consciousness. So I'll just note right here, what the teaching is saying is that when we practice Kriya meditation, we're directly letting go of our consciousness of imperfection. So any limitation, any negativity, any pain, any grief, any sadness, any fear, any blame, any anguish, any illusion of separateness, that melts away automatically as we practice Kriya. Kriya moves directly with energy up and down the spine, and this process of self-purification automatically is self-transformation. It is automatically initiating this process of self-enlightenment. The other thing that the yogic teachings are very clear about, Swami Nityananda was also very clear about this, is practice karma yoga as well. Step by step, regularly practice karma yoga. It helps you become aware that it is actually the light doing all things through you. And I've repeatedly have karma yogis tell me, I learned this in karma yoga, and then that allowed me to unfold this in my life. And so I was trained, I was prepared, I was given all the ingredients in karma yoga that I needed for this next unfoldment in my life as well. And so there's a really dynamic process where when we offer ourselves to be of service to the divine, of course there will be optimal unfoldments in time and space in what we call our human lives as well. So a couple of things right here. I want to share a video that I came across this week, and I only saw it once, so I'm giving you this little clip of a video that I saw once, but it was a male otter, a female otter, and a whole bunch of little otters. And they were on this kind of maybe 4 feet high ledge overlooking water. And the little otters had never gone swimming before. And the male otter was taking them and throwing them into the water. Very abruptly, very forcefully. Like he took one and lifted it with his mouth by the scruff of the neck and just dropped it unceremoniously. He took another and he kind of shoulder butted the otter. The otter went flying into the water. So it was both hilarious, but also kind of terrifying to look at. And you could also see, and the male otter was just so intent. He was like so furious. He was like gathering up all of these little otters and just like kicking their butt into the water. That was kind of the energy of it. And so this I am sharing as a metaphor for the experiences that we sometimes have in time and space. It sometimes feels as if we're thrown into the deep end and there's no preparation. Sometimes it feels forceful. Sometimes it feels scary. Sometimes it looked kind of physically violent to see what this male otter was doing, throwing the little otters into the water. And then you also look back and you realize the little otters learned to swim. Like it all kind of worked out in the end. They had a natural ability to swim, and they remembered their natural ability to swim. And so one of the things that this Upanishad is talking about is there's no human who does not have an experience that feels painful, that feels traumatic, that feels forceful, that feels like I was unprepared for that. That was a shock. That was trauma. That felt brutal. What was up with that? How did this happen? And what the Upanishads say is that gradually, as we simply practice Kriya and Karma Yoga, we will realize, I've heard people say recently, that was a very painful experience at the time. Now I realize it was a blessing. It was a gift from the divine that I had that experience. My human self certainly didn't choose it at the time or want it at the time or agree to it. But what I learned by going through that experience, I want to keep what I learned by going through that experience. And then there's just peace. There's not arguing with the divine because we went through that experience. There's just peace There is a yes, I went through that experience. Swami Shankarananda, he used to say it was part of the journey, right? So to have that ability to say, I don't need to keep repeating that experience if it was a painful one. I can bless it. I can forgive myself for having gone through the experience. And I can love myself so much that I keep what I learned and I lay down any pain that I have been carrying in relation to that experience. And so for each of us right now, this is obviously, like the Upanishads are saying, it's the accumulated impressions of all past incarnations. It's not only the painful impressions from this lifetime, but it's if we are carrying any painful impressions from other lifetimes as well, this is going to transform. And so to be willing to say to the divine within you, to the light within you, I did not choose that experience from a human level. I'm willing to notice what was the spiritual purpose of it. What was the spiritual gift of it? What was the spiritual learning or growth or expansion that arose out of that experience? Let's keep that and not repeat the pain. And so when we realize that, what we can do is we can let go of carrying the pain, and we can let go of blaming ourselves for having experienced the pain, and we can let go of blaming anyone else who participated in bringing that experience to us. So blame melts away, and when blame melts away, peace is present, understanding is present, expansion is present, joy is present, freedom is present. Freedom is only present when I realize I can decide how I feel about all the experiences I have ever had. I choose not to let anyone else determine how I feel. I choose to love myself so much that I allow the divine within me to fill me only with joy and peace and freedom. I choose, and I will actually just tell you, it takes some audacity to be willing to be bliss in time and space. So, audacious you, I choose to allow myself to be bliss in time and space. I don't have to wait for the world to change. Bliss is already here. I don't have to wait for any other human to change, for any circumstance to change. Bliss is already here. I open and I surrender and I allow bliss to be here. Bliss will fill my heart to overflowing the moment I surrender to the divine. The moment I stop fighting whatever my experiences have been, and I simply allow the divine light, the supreme love, the joy and the peace and the freedom to be here totally, filling me to overflowing, opening my heart, my awareness, my mind, my life, and simply allowing that unbroken light, which reveals everything, to share in and through and as me. That changes everything. Thank God, and God bless us all.